covered in snow right now. Okay, so there's some light, bright light. You spent a day with Andrew doing chores, and he does a lot of like the manual labor stuff obviously, and does a lot of the water runs and trash runs, which he just did today. And I have a set of different chores that I do pretty regularly around here. So first is breakfast. I make us breakfast, lunch, and dinner pretty much every day. Sometimes we skip lunch, but I do all the cooking. I do majority of all the dishes. Andrew does help me out every once in a while, which I truly appreciate. So I've already done dishes for today, and we've already had breakfast, but I need to clean the trailer. So I'm gonna do that today, as well as some other chores around here. So this is a day of doing chores and what they look like for me. I've got little Missy sleeping. She's actually just in this room behind me, but I keep a monitor on her so that I can make sure she's okay at all times. But yeah, time to get cleaning. Fun! The trailer is nice and clean. My daily chores consist of throwing out the diaper trash, taking care of any of the bathroom trash and the kitchen trash, and then cooking and dishes are the things that I do the most around here. And then wiping down counters obviously is a daily thing. And my weekly cleaning, which I'm doing today or did today, is to like really wipe down all the counters, clean the toilet, sweep and mop the floors, clean our rugs, and just make sure everything is nice and clean for the week ahead. I don't like a cluttered space, and since I am back to work and I do work in the trailer, I need things around me to be clean in order for me to like concentrate. So I am constantly making sure things are picked up around here. And it is also a very small space, so any clutter takes away from free space, and it can get smaller real quick when there's things out of place. So we try to keep a tight ship around here, just so that we don't ever feel too closed in this space. We don't spend a lot of time in here. A majority of time is spent outside, but now that I am back to work, I am working in here. It's been really windy out and stuff, but I will move my workstation outside when we have nicer days. And then I'm also breastfeeding still, so I take a break from work, I breastfeed Autumn, and then I get back. And Andrew, I'm only working 3 days right now, so he'll take those 3 days off from doing any of his projects so that he's here to help with Autumn. And then the 4 days that I'm off, he's outside doing his thing. I'm with her, and then I try to get my stuff done for the week. So that was chore numero uno. So last week my parents were here and they stayed in the other trailer. I want to give a big thank you to my in-laws. That is their trailer, and they have opened it up to my parents, allowing them to come and visit with us. A little easier, obviously, when they just have a nice place to stay. It makes coming out here a little easier and a lot more comfortable. So thank you to my amazing in-laws for doing that, and a big shout out to my mom and stepdad for coming, and they brought us a lot of their farm raised meat. We've got venison, we had lamb chops, lamb ribs, and lots of beef. So I'm really excited to eat more of that because they did leave us a good amount. Sounds like little Missy is waking up, so I'm going to attend to her, and then we're gonna move over to the other trailer and just make sure everything is nice and picked up, pull in the pop out, and get that all nice and clean so that when my amazing in-laws do come back, their trailer is nice and clean for them. Hi. Hi, my sweet girl. Is that a good nap? Yeah, we're a happy baby. Are we a happy baby? Yeah, and we're teething, huh? Yeah. You like looking at yourself? Is that you, Autumn Ray? Yeah. Alright, let's change our diaper. And we've got trailer number 2 to take care of. Okay, so while I'm feeding Autumn and waiting to go over to the other trailer to work on that for today, I wanted to take the time to kind of explain what I actually do for work. I realize I have not addressed that at all. So before we came out here, I worked in fashion. I've been in fashion for like the last 20 years. I do product development mainly for brands. My most recent job, I was working in denim, a denim manufacturer in Gardena, and I managed about 6 different brands and helped them develop their denim line each season. I was fortunate enough to get a remote job pretty much doing the same thing. However, now I work with European factories. Oh, we got a little fussy baby. 1 second. Hi. Say hi. Hello. So yeah, I've worked in fashion for the last 20 years, and the last day of my last job, which was at the denim manufacturer, I was referred to this job. So now I'm working doing, well, I started off as a denim consultant, and then I played a lot of different roles in this company. But yes, I'm still in the fashion industry. I work remote. I'm very grateful for that. It allows us to stay here on the property, especially with being a new mom. I don't have to drive into an office. I get to stay here and be with her. She is breastfeeding, so I can easily step away from the computer and feed her, and then get back to work, which has been such a huge blessing for us. I never wanted to have a baby and then have to get back into the office. I always wanted to be here with her, and I'm very blessed that I get to do that, as well as continue to provide for my family, which is an amazing blessing. But I do work in fashion. I'm currently only working 3 days a week right now, and my position has changed a little bit. Right now I'm helping to onboard new brands and factories, as well as kind of restructure the company. It's very small, and as things change with our economy, things affect us, and you have to be able to adapt in order to continue moving forward. So that's what I'm working on right now. And again, like I mentioned, I'm only working 3 days a week, so I am able to spend a majority of my week with my baby and Andrew, and it's very nice that we can continue this family unit and bond and grow closer together, while still getting things done here on the property, and spending as much time as I can with this sweet angel face. You say hi? You say hi? Autumn Ray. That's my cute girl. You smile? You smile? We are teething, so hands in the mouth constantly. And she likes to look at herself right now. She's about 3.5 months. She is the cutest thing in the world, and I am very blessed that I get to spend as much time with her as possible. Okay, so in all honesty, my mom did a great job cleaning that trailer. I didn't really have to do anything, but what I did do is pull out some meat for tonight, because one of my chores is to cook daily. So my stepdad and my stepbrothers, they make their own sausage, and so my step-parents, or stepdad, not parents, love you mom, brought us a bunch of meat. So this is homemade sausage. Since I'm taking things out a little bit late, I need something that's going to defrost quicker throughout the day. Sausage it is. We already had these last week when they were here, and they're amazing. So thank you for sharing these with us. You did a great job, Gino. But yeah, so that's another chore done. Figuring out dinner. I still need to figure out what's gonna go with it, but at least I got the protein down. So now another part of my daily chores is to check on my seedlings. Right now we are in planting season. their seedling season, and I've had a battle with them, battling the mouse originally in the cabin that kept eating it. It was like a free salad bar every night to them. So I've had to start over a couple of times, and now they're looking really good. So I still have them in the cabin. We're building out our garden beds. They are not ready to transplant yet, so we still have some time, but I go over to the cabin daily, review them, water them, make sure they're all good. So that's another one of my chores. My chores are obviously not as entertaining as Andrew's. His is a lot of like thinking and figuring out things and fixing and creating, and mine is a lot of like household stuff, and taking care of our family and food. Another thing I do is grocery shopping. I do it all online. Being where we are, I have to really think out our groceries, and map out all of my meals so that I know exactly what I need. There is no, oh, I forgot this, let me run down to the store and get it for us. So if we don't have it, we have to go without it. So I take that very seriously, and it takes me a couple days to create my grocery list before I place it and go pick it up, just again so that I am fully thinking about everything and making sure I'm covering everything so that we can be here on the property and not need groceries for at least 2 weeks. So I'm going to be working on that later today. I'm going to take a little break from doing chores and go on a walk with Autumn as she's awake and she really enjoys that. And we'll see what else we have to get done today. We've been having like this weird wildflower super bloom is what I'm calling it here. There's been so many different types of wildflowers that we have yet to see on the property since we purchased it. And it is so amazing. I don't know how well this picks up on camera, but we have these really cool daisy looking flowers that are literally popping up all over in pretty dense concentration, like you can see here in this field. I don't know if you're able to see, but like all back there, there's just tons of these beautiful little white flowers just growing rapidly throughout the property. We have like small little yellow flowers that just like cover the ground and it's all yellow. We've had a range of these little purple flowers and these orange flowers that we've seen before, just not on the property. It is really cool to just see how this property continues to amaze us as it changes, and we discover new things on it. Like I said, we've never had this much wildflower growth since we purchased the property, but it is really nice, and we are enjoying exploring and like pointing out the new flowers that we've seen. Here's a better bush of these yellow flowers, and they're just taking off, and they're growing like a foot above ground, so they're not like super low. Another daily chore I have is taking care of my sourdough starter, and feeding it daily and using that discard to make other things, as you saw in the other video. It's become my favorite thing to do, is make all these recipes out of the discard. Still have not made an actual sourdough loaf yet, but while my mom was here, I was able to show her all my different recipes that I've been experimenting with, and I made her homemade pizza with homemade pizza crust. I made her homemade biscuits and gravy. The biscuits were really good. I made English muffins for burgers. I showed her how I've been making my healthy oatmeal cookies. So it was a lot of fun to share those with her. And I hope that she takes that and is inspired to get her sourdough starter going again. So I need to feed my sourdough starter. I keep mine in this plastic tin or container. It was a nut container. It's just the biggest wide mouth container that I have, and making it super easy for me to attend to it. So here it is, just stirring it up as it's been sitting for 24 hours. I'm gonna actually use this discard to make like, it's kind of like a savory pancake, and all it is discard and baking powder, and then you pour it into a pan, and it makes for like almost like a softer tortilla. I say savory pancake because it's softer and it fluffs up a little bit more than a tortilla, but they're a lot easier to make. However, they do consume a lot more of your discard, so I don't make them very often. However, I have been saving up some of my discard for this, so I'll be making those later tonight with our homemade sausages for dinner. So this discard I'm gonna save for later today. I do not weigh everything out. I am not precise, and maybe that's a fault of mine. However, I'll just pour out the amount I feel is right and leave in a good amount to feed. So this looks like it's good to me. That I will save for later. And now I'm just going to feed it, which, if you know anything about sourdough discard, it is, or to feed your sourdough, it's super easy. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. At least that's what I heard. If I'm wrong and you guys have other advice for me, I am all ears. This is me just learning what I can online and then putting it to work and making it work for me and my family. I use a half cup, so here's a half cup of flour. I am just using the basic store brand unbleached flour. I do want to move over to the more organic flour. However, that is around $10 or $12 for what I get currently at $3. So this bag only cost me $3. And the other one is $12. With the amount of money that I'm actually saving from not buying any baked goods, I see it being a fine investment. However, I haven't done it yet. Maybe I'll do it on this next grocery run. I will purchase the more organic flour so that I'm not only feeding my family less ingredients in our baked goods, but the flour itself is actually better than this. So I did 1-to-1 ratio, so half cup of flour, half cup of water. I just give that a nice good mix. Make sure I'm breaking up that flour and everything is nicely mixed. Then I put the lid on it and it goes right back in my pantry. I do this daily, and I usually make a sourdough discard recipe every other day. It does get tedious, so sometimes I will just save up the sour discard for another day and put it in my refrigerator so it goes dormant and it's still good to use. I always smell it to make sure that we're good and I'm not going to poison my family with bad discard. So yeah, that's what I do to keep this going, and it is a daily chore. I am also working on adding meal prep to our routine. Since moving out here, I haven't really done much of that. But now that I have Autumn and I am back at work, to make things easier for myself, I need to start doing meal prepping again. When I was doing an office job, I used to meal prep for Andrew and I every week and pack our breakfast and lunch. So that would help me just have that ready in the refrigerator and I didn't have to worry about it daily. So it's something that I'm working on. But in pairing with that, I've also been really loving overnight oats. And since I'm trying to have oatmeal every day for breakfast to help with my milk production, making it every day isn't really realistic, especially when I'm either having to start work or have Autumn to take care of and make Andrew breakfast, which I make his breakfast fresh every day. So I've been trying to at least meal prep my oatmeal. I am being very aware of my dairy intake for this little one. I've noticed the effects on her. So I have a coconut almond milk. I've got my plant-based protein. I've got my oats. I add chia seeds to it. I do a little bit of maple syrup for a sweetener, a little bit of vanilla extract, some salt for taste, and then I am going to be adding in some dates. And then when I do actually eat it, I'll add some fresh fruit on top and a little bit of granola for crunch. Okay, it's about 2 o'clock and I've clean the trailer, meaning giving it a deeper clean, mopping, bathroom, all the fun stuff. I've attended to my seedlings. I've taken this little cutie pie on a walk several times around our trail. I've got some food prep going. Now it's time to get some lunch ready and then dinner, so I won't bore you with that stuff. But that's kind of just the chores that I take care of around here. Like I mentioned before, they're not as fun or interesting to watch as Andrew's chores, but they are just as important to make sure that this train keeps on moving. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll catch you on the next one.